What's going on, football fans? We're back again with some more NFL game previews. Today we're going to do two videos. We're going to be highlighting the Eagles and the Seahawks and the Panthers and the Saints. Now we're going to start with the Eagles and the Seahawks and what could be the best game of the weekend and is also the Sunday night game. This game is going to be played in Seattle. Both teams are coming off of victories. The Eagles beat the Bears 31 or 34-3, and the Seahawks beat the Niners. Now why is this such a big game? Right now, I think the Seahawks are on the outside looking in at the playoff picture. The Eagles are very much out in front in the NFC playoff picture at 9-1. Like I've said a couple times, highlighting the Eagles. The Eagles look like the best team in the NFC, probably in the NFL. And the Seahawks right now, they're kind of struggling. Not that the team is struggling, it's more like injuries are holding them back. They lost Richard Sherman a couple weeks ago for the season. Earl Thomas is done for the season. And Cam Chancellor's done for the season. Reported earlier I believe either yesterday or on Sunday night. So that Legion of Boom is really becoming. It's not there. It's just not there this weekend for the rest of the year. This is such a tough matchup for the for the Seahawks in terms of the passing game. I know that they run a lot of cover 3 anyways, but you know, losing your free rangey safety, losing your strong safety who comes in and plays as the 8th man in the box, and losing a lockdown corner, those are 3 huge things to lose. And the Eagles are really good at spreading the ball around. Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz. I would have assumed Zach Ertz would have been covered by Cam Chancellor, but that's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure Bobby Wagner will be spying him a little bit. And you have to watch out for Carson Wentz in terms of his running too, as he is very skilled outside of the pocket. The Eagles, though, on the other hand, they might not have an advantage in the running game. To me, the Seahawks front seven is still very, very dominant. They really haven't suffered very many injuries at all, and the Eagles like to use LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement. I think they have a 4th running back too that they use, but you know, it's still going to be tough to run. I think that this game is going to rely heavily on the passing game for the Eagles. And on the flip side, for the Seahawks on the offensive side of the ball, they're going up against probably the best front 4 in the NFL. Brandon Graham, Vinny Curry, Fletcher Cox, Timmy Jernigan, Eric Barnett. The list goes on and on with this front 4. And they're going up against the Seahawks offensive line that is, I've said before, and I'll keep saying, is not very talented or skilled. So this could give them some problems. Now, let's jump into our 3 key matchups for this game. Starting first with, of course, the Seahawks offensive line and giving Russell Wilson time. If the Seahawks can give Russell Wilson some time, they have a chance to win this game. Finding Doug Baldwin, finding Jimmy Graham, you know, finding his running backs out of the backfield. It's gonna be tough because Russell Wilson does use his legs quite a bit in terms of extending plays, things like that. I think that this front 4 is very skilled. You know, it's just gonna be about finding time. And I don't know if the Seahawks offensive line will be able to do it. I don't know how the Eagles will run their defense in terms of I don't know how the Eagles would do in terms of spying Russell Wilson. They might have one of their linebackers follow him around, watch his eyes to eyes, things like that. But going on with that is just, you know, giving him some time. If Russell Wilson has time, he's a very good quarterback, but he's best on the run, in my opinion. But, you know, if on the run is different going against this defense than any other defense. The number 2 key matchup here is going to be the Eagles wide receivers exploiting that secondary. I think that the Eagles are going to have a huge advantage in terms of the passing game. I think it's very possible that they'll throw the ball 35 times in this game, especially if it's a close game. I think it's possible that that they could win this game because of their passing game. I think Alshon Jeffrey is going to have to show out. Nelson Aguilar is going to have some very, not impressive, but solid catch and runs, I believe. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Seahawks secondary plays to this offense because of the losses that they've had in terms of that Legion of Boom. I think Zach Ertz is going to be the huge difference maker in this game. I think he could continue on with his terrific season. I think he can go for 8 catches and over 100 yards and probably 1 or 2 touchdowns. That's Carson Wentz's favorite target. You have to find him, identify him at all times on the field. So it's going to be interesting to see how they match up with Zach Ertz. And the third and final key matchup here is going to be the Eagles running game. The Eagles running game here against the Seahawks front 7. Bobby Wagner is probably one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. I expect him to fully take on a full burden of the missing pieces, and will continue on with his stellar play in the field. The Eagles' running game is going to have to find at least 3 to 4 yards a pop. I just think it's going to be very tough for them to do that without, with this Seahawks front seven still being as good as they are. I just think that Bobby Wagner knows what teams are running. The Eagles do like to run in different running backs at all times. I think this game is just going to rely mostly on Carson Wentz for the Eagles and his throwing the ball. I just don't think the Seahawks secondary can match up with them this week. It's just one of those things where everything seems to be going right for a team, like the Eagles, where they find a matchup here where they can exploit a team in the secondary, and you have to take advantage of that, and I think the Eagles will. Now jumping to our 3 reasons why. 3 reasons why each team will win this game. Let's go ahead and start with the Seahawks. For number 1, it's going to be about giving Russell Wilson time. If they give Russell Wilson time, about 3 to 4 seconds in the pocket, make plays with his feet, extend drives. If they can take up huge amounts of yardage at a time, or huge chunk plays, lots of time of possession, they have a chance to win this game. I believe the Eagles are one of the best teams in terms of time of possession. The Seahawks have to beat them at their own game, take their offense off the field, control the ball for 30 to 34 minutes in this game. Number 2, the Seahawks running game has to show out. It can't be Russell Wilson constantly leading you in terms of team rushing. Somebody on this ground game has to get going. I know it's tough with this offensive line. The Seahawks really need to invest some draft picks into that offensive line. I just feel like they need to find a way to get something going. I know the Eagles front seven is very, very tough against the run. I think Brandon Graham has the best run stop percentage in terms of all defensive ends in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. So it's things like that where they're gonna have to find four yards a pop on the ground with their running backs. And number 3, the Seahawks pass defense is able to overcome the injuries to the Legion of Boom, keep the receivers in check, keep Carson Wentz at 200 yards passing, even force a turnover or 2. I mean, this game is going to be played in Seattle. The crowd is going to be a huge factor. Seattle's playoff hopes are on the line. Not on the line, but to the point where it could matter later in the season getting this victory. So the Seahawks pass defense has to show up. They have to get 2 turnovers out of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz does have a problem with fumbling, strip sack fumbles type of thing, but he protects the ball in terms of the passing, not throwing very many interceptions this year compared to last. So if the Seahawks pass defense can show out, they have a chance. Now for the Eagles, 3 reasons why they'll win this game. Number 1, Carson Wentz shows out. He exploits the absence of the Legion of Boom, goes for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. Very basic. He can exploit. If he exploits his secondary, it could be a long game for the Seahawks. Number 2, the Eagles front 4, without sending any blitzers, gets a tremendous amount of pressure on Russell Wilson, creating the Seahawks into bad down and distance situations, 2nd and long, 2nd and 12, 3rd and 15s, things like that, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 7s, things like that are tough to overcome in a game like this. It's just going to be up to the offensive line of the Seahawks to contain those guys, and I don't think they can because of I think Fletcher Cox is probably the 2nd best defensive tackle in the league behind Aaron Donald. So that's just what I think. But I think that those guys are going to be the catalyst for why the Eagles win this game. And number 3, the Eagles rush offense. I think that they are able to, I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL in terms of running the ball. I believe statistically on the season that they are. You might want to fact check me on that. But, however, I do believe that there is a chance for the Eagles to find yardage against this team, considering that they're probably going to be playing more coverage. If they can, spread them out a little bit, force the Seahawks to play matchups on them, stay a nickel or dime even, they can run the ball. And my prediction for this game is I really do think that the Eagles are going to win this game. I think they're going to overcome the crowd. They're going to overcome the Seahawks front 7. I think they're going to take advantage of the Seahawks secondary. And I think that they're going to make life a living hell for Russell Wilson as he sees a pass rush that is probably one of the best in the league. My prediction for this game is I think that the Eagles will win 28-17. I just think Carson Wentz continues on with his MVP season. He might throw an interception or lose a fumble, but either way, he'll dominate in this game against the Seahawks secondary that is missing the Legion of Boom. And I think that the Eagles' game plan is going to revolve around that. That's going to be my prediction for this game. I got the Seahawks and, not the Seahawks, the Saints and the Panthers coming up next. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace.